In the farthest reaches of the cosmos, the Lumynar civilization was renowned for their mastery over the arcane arts of quantum entanglement and temporal manipulation. Their cities, suspended in the ethereal mists of their home world, shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence, a testament to their advanced understanding of the universe's fundamental forces. The Lumynar had achieved feats that other civilizations could only dream of, yet they held one universal decree sacred above all else: never disturb the slumber of the humans. The humans, a seemingly primitive species, had entered a state of cryogenic hibernation centuries ago. Their massive colony ships drifted through the cosmos, carrying entire populations in suspended animation. The Lumynar, along with every other spacefaring civilization, had long ago adopted the rule to let the humans sleep, though the reason behind it had been lost to time. Chief Scientist Elysia, her crystalline form glowing softly, studied the holographic display of a newly discovered human colony ship. Her crew maintained a respectful distance, adhering to the ancient protocol. The ship, though ancient by Lumynar standards, held an enigmatic allure. Elysia's curiosity was piqued, but she knew better than to interfere. "Fascinating creatures," Elysia murmured, her voice resonating through her crystalline structure. "So peaceful in their sleep. Hard to believe they're the reason for our most sacred rule." Her junior researcher, Kael, fresh out of the Galactic Academy, couldn't contain his excitement. "Elysia, the cryogenic systems on this ship, they defy our understanding of thermodynamics. We could learn so much from studying them." Elysia's crystalline appendages pulsed with a gentle warning. "Kael, we must not disturb the humans. The rule is clear." "But Elysia," Kael insisted, his form vibrating with enthusiasm, "just a small probe. We won't even touch the humans. Think of the scientific implications." Elysia hesitated, her curiosity warring with her duty. "Very well," she conceded, "but only a small probe. We must be careful not to wake them." Kael's form glowed with triumph as he activated the probe. The ancient human ship, dormant for centuries, suddenly hummed to life. Warning signals blared across Elysia's research vessel's monitors. "What have you done, Kael?" Elysia's voice crackled with panic. I don't know," Kael stammered, his form dimming with fear. The probe's quantum signature must have resonated with their cryogenic field. On their main view screen, pods began activating one by one, like stars appearing in an evening sky. Thousands of them. The ship's ancient systems, far from being primitive, executed a flawless awakening sequence. Elysia's form pulsed with anxiety. "Emergency transmission to High Command," she barked. "Code Ultraviolet. Human awakening in progress in Sector 12. The response was immediate. Within moments, their small research vessel was surrounded by a fleet of Lumynar warships. The High Commander herself appeared on their screen, her ancient form a deep violet with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she bellowed, using an insult so old it predated faster than light travel. The humans were supposed to sleep for at least another millennium. Elysia's form flickered with distress. "High Commander, perhaps we could put them back to sleep." An alert cut her off. The human ship was powering up its ancient engines. Systems that shouldn't have worked were coming online with terrifying efficiency. Their scans detected brainwave patterns indicating the humans were not just awake. They were angry. Too late. The High Commander's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're awake. May the First Light have mercy on us all." In the chaos that followed, Elysia turned to Kael, his form nearly transparent with fear. "I don't suppose this will look good on your performance review," she said, her voice heavy with resignation. The human ship's communication systems crackled to life, broadcasting on all frequencies in a language not heard in centuries. The message was short, clear, and would soon become infamous throughout the galaxy. "Who dares disturb our slumber?" The Lumynar diplomatic corps, known for their impeccable grace in handling first contact situations, was at a loss. Ambassador Lyra, her crystalline form polished to perfection, led the delegation. She had been briefed extensively on human culture, or what they thought they knew of it. "Remember, Lyra instructed her team. We must be diplomatic, respectful, and above all, apologetic. We've disturbed their rest. How bad could it be? The answer, as it turned out, was very bad indeed. The human ship allowed them to dock, which the diplomatic team took as a positive sign. They really shouldn't have. The moment they floated through the airlock, they were met by a group of humans in what appeared to be sleeping attire, clutching cups of something that their senses identified as coffee, a substance that immediately got classified as a potential chemical weapon. The human leader, his eyes dark with fatigue and hair sticking up in directions that defied several laws of physics, glared at them. You're the ones who thought it would be fun to wake up several million humans before their alarm went off? Ambassador Lyra began her carefully prepared speech, her form glittering with practiced sincerity. Most esteemed humans, on behalf of the Galactic Alliance, we extend our deepest— Save it, Sparkles, the human interrupted, taking a long sip of his coffee. Do you know how long it took us to synchronize our sleep schedules? Do you have any idea how hard it is to get several million people to agree on nap time? The diplomatic team exchanged nervous glances, their crystalline forms flickering with uncertainty. This was not in the manual. We have prepared extensive reparations, another diplomat chimed in, including the latest in comfort technology, dream enhancement devices. The human leader snorted, causing the entire diplomatic team to vibrate with alarm. Oh, that's rich. You think you can just give us some fancy pillows and we'll go back to sleep? Have you ever tried to get back to sleep after being woken up? It's impossible. Things went downhill from there. The humans, it seemed, had opinions about being woken up. Many, many opinions. And they wanted to share all of them, preferably at high volume. The situation reached its peak when one human discovered that their favorite snack, something called pizza, had gone extinct during their slumber. The resulting tantrum caused 3 diplomatic assistants to crack and 1 to temporarily lose their crystalline coherence. This is unprecedented. Ambassador Lyra transmitted privately to High Command. They're not attempting to destroy us. They're not even threatening war. They're just complaining endlessly about everything. The humans had begun organizing what they called a town hall meeting to discuss their grievances. The very concept sent shivers through the diplomatic corps. Millions of grumpy, recently awakened humans, all gathering to voice their complaints simultaneously? It was a nightmare scenario. In a final desperate attempt at peace, Ambassador Lyra offered the humans control of several resort planets where they could chill until they felt ready to sleep again. The human leader's response would be recorded in diplomatic archives as the shortest and most terrifying rejection ever received. Bold of you to assume we'll ever feel ready to sleep again. Now about those extinct pizza recipes. The Galactic Alliance would soon learn that an awakened human with a grudge was bad enough. An awakened human with a grudge, and no access to their favorite comfort foods, was nothing short of a cosmic catastrophe. The real trouble began when the humans finally got around to checking their emails, or rather, the quantum-encrypted messages that had accumulated during their centuries-long nap. The Lumynar High Council watched in horror as humanity's collective mood shifted from mild irritation to something far more concerning: amusement. Let me get this straight, the human leader said, now on his 15th cup of coffee, addressing the emergency session of the Galactic Alliance. While we were sleeping, you all convinced yourselves that we went into cryosleep because we ran out of resources. The High Commander's crystalline form dimmed slightly. According to our historical records— Oh, this is precious, another human interrupted, actually wiping tears from his eyes. They really don't know the truth. As it turned out, the truth was far more ridiculous than anything the Galactic Alliance had imagined. The humans hadn't gone into cryo because they were running out of resources. They'd done it because they were bored. We'd solved pretty much everything, the human leader explained, scrolling through ancient mission logs with increasing glee. Clean energy, world peace, universal health care, faster than light travel. We even figured out why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. There was nothing left to do. The galactic archives were quickly revealed to be hilariously incorrect. Those primitive-looking ships, camouflage, and the seemingly simple cryogenic pods, actually quantum consciousness storage devices that made Lumynar technology look like two rocks being banged together. The humans hadn't been sleeping. They'd been running universe-scale simulations, processing quantum calculations that would make a supercomputer cry, and apparently binge-watching every possible variation of reality TV that could ever exist. But the warning, Ambassador Lyra stammered. The rule about never waking humans. A human scientist grinned, looking far too pleased with himself. We wrote that, scattered it across the galaxy. Best prank ever. The revelation hit the Galactic Alliance like a supernova. The humans hadn't been some endangered species that needed protection. They were essentially cosmic teenagers who had decided to take a nap and set an elaborate out-of-office message. The true extent of human capabilities began to unfold. While sleeping, they had mapped every possible timeline in the universe, solved the question of whether hot dogs were sandwiches, though they refused to share this knowledge, claiming some things should remain mysterious, developed a unified theory of everything, then decided it was kind of boring, and developed several more interesting ones. They created and abandoned 17 different types of social media platforms in their simulated environments, deeming them too emotionally draining. They figured out why socks always disappear in the laundry. Again, they're keeping this one to themselves. The Lumynar scientists who examined the human ship's primitive systems had to be treated for shock when they realized they weren't looking at technology. They were looking at art projects human children had made while their parents were catching up on some Z's. But why? The High Commander asked, her crystalline form practically vibrating with confusion. Pretend to be a sleeping civilization. The human leader counted it off on his fingers. Have you ever tried being the most advanced species in the galaxy? It's exhausting. Everyone is always coming to you with their problems, asking for technology, and wanting you to solve their existential crises. We just wanted a break. The final blow to the Galactic Alliance's collective ego came when they discovered that humans had actually achieved their advanced state of development before most other species had invented the wheel. They'd just been watching everyone else develop, occasionally leaving helpful anonymous tips like, have you tried pointing the rocket the other way? Or maybe don't mix those chemicals. Think of it like a cosmic gap year. One human explained to the increasingly distressed council. Except instead of backpacking across Europe, we decided to take a few centuries off and let everyone else have a go at running things. The High Commander's final report to the Galactic Alliance summed up the situation perfectly. We have not been protecting a sleeping primitive species. We have been unknowingly participating in the universe's longest-running social experiment. And now the experimenters are awake, caffeinated, and expressing interest in what they call catching up on current events. May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on us all. In the archives of the Lumynar Science Academy, Kael's infamous probe incident would be reclassified from the greatest scientific catastrophe to the most successful wake-up call in history. Though no one was quite sure whether that was an improvement. The shift in galactic power dynamics happened faster than a quantum hiccup. One moment, the Lumynar were the undisputed masters of the known universe. The next, they were watching humans reorganize entire star systems because the feng shui was all wrong. You can't just move a solar system, High Commander Christos protested, her form flickering with distress as she watched humans casually relocating celestial bodies. Watch us, the human leader replied, who was now sporting a bathrobe and bunny slippers while orchestrating the movement of entire star clusters. This one's blocking the view of that gorgeous nebula. Besides, the commute time between planetary systems was ridiculous. Who designed this layout? The Galactic Alliance quickly discovered that trying to maintain order in a universe with fully awakened humans was like trying to herd quantum cats. Theoretically possible, but practically futile. Humans started fixing things that no one had realized were broken. They introduced their concept of weekend breaks to species that had never stopped working. They established universal Wi-Fi that somehow worked across multiple dimensions. They started a galactic food delivery service that could get you takeout from any planet in under 30 minutes or your money back. The Lumynar bureaucracy, once a model of efficiency, descended into chaos when humans introduced them to casual Fridays and office parties. The sight of crystalline beings attempting to wear Hawaiian shirts would haunt the High Commander's dreams for centuries. But the most surprising development came from the younger generations of various species. Rather than resisting the human influence, they embraced it with alarming enthusiasm. Young Lumynar started forming hybrid social clubs with humans, leading to the galaxy's first interspecies meme war. "You have to admit," Kael commented to Elysia as they watched a group of humans teaching young Langsari how to chill, "they do make things more interesting." Elysia, whose career had somehow survived the wake-up incident, could only nod in bewildered agreement. The humans had promoted her to chief officer of making sure humans don't get too bored again, a position she wasn't entirely sure was a reward or a punishment. The humans' approach to galactic governance was particularly baffling. They established what they called a universal community center, a massive space station where different species could hang out and vibe. Important diplomatic decisions were now made over game nights and potluck dinners. But what about the proper protocols? Ambassador Lyra asked, watching in horror as humans settled a centuries-old territorial dispute with an interplanetary karaoke competition. "Protocols are just suggestions with fancy hats," the human mediator responded before announcing the next song, Universal Wind by Daro Sandstorm, a hit from their sleep playlist. Even the dreaded void crawlers, a species everyone had been terrified of for millennia, turned out to be quite amiable after humans introduced them to hot chocolate and bubble wrap. "We're not evil," their hive mind explained. "We were just really stressed out." The human solution to most galactic problems seemed to involve either naps, snacks, or what they called group therapy. Surprisingly, it worked better than any previous system of governance. They established the Galactic Chill Zone Treaty, which included such revolutionary clauses as mandatory vacation days and the right to Netflix and actually chill. Any species caught working too hard was subject to immediate intervention by the newly formed Department of Taking It Easy. The Lumynar High Council found itself restructured into what humans called a cosmic coffee club. Important decisions were now made over beverages and bee-goods, with the humans insisting that no one could properly solve galactic problems without proper caffeine. "You know what your civilization's problem was," a human explained to a group of bewildered council members. "Too much crystal, not enough flow. You need to learn to go with the gravitational waves, dudes." Perhaps the most stunning development was the formation of the Interspecies Relaxation Coalition. Young Lumynar, void crawlers, and dozens of other species joined humans in their pursuit of the perfect work-life balance. The universe had never been more productive, largely because everyone had finally learned when to take a break. As Elysia watched a human teaching a group of young Lumynar how to make SARS using plasma reactors, she realized that maybe waking the humans hadn't been a catastrophe after all. It was more like hitting the universal reset button. Chaotic, certainly, but in a strangely refreshing way. "Chief Officer," a human called out to her, "we're about to start the first annual Galactic Games Night. Want to join? We're playing Monopoly. Universal Edition. We modified it to include actual solar systems." Elysia's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been resignation or amusement. These days, it was getting harder to tell the difference. "Why not?" she replied. "It's not like the universe could get any weirder." The human grinned. "Oh, just wait until we introduce you to karaoke." 6 months after the Great Awakening, or the Universal Snooze Button Incident, as humans insisted on calling it, the galaxy had transformed into something unprecedented. The Lumynar archive struggled to keep up with the rapid cultural changes, eventually giving up and starting a blog instead. Humans said it was more on brand. The integration of species produced some truly memorable moments. The void crawlers, once feared across the galaxy, had become surprisingly successful meditation instructors. Their natural ability to induce existential dread was apparently perfect for helping others achieve inner peace. Nothing helps you appreciate life like a being from the void asking you about your career goals became a common saying. The Xian found their crystalline nature made them exceptional at what humans called mood lighting. Soon, young Xian were opening trendy space lounges, using their bioluminescence to create atmosphere. The most popular venue, Crystal Vibes, had a 3-century waiting list. But cultural integration wasn't without its hiccups. The first interspecies Olympic Games had to be postponed when someone realized that the high jump event might be unfair to species that could manipulate gravity. The swimming competition was scrapped entirely after humans introduced the concept of pool noodles to aquatic civilizations, who took the name too literally. The universal education system underwent a complete overhaul. History class became particularly interesting. Today's topic: why humans pretended to sleep for centuries. Because they were tired? No, because they were tired of us. The Galactic Senate transformed into something called a town hall hangout, complete with beanbags and endless supplies of snacks. The only rule was no discussing politics without pizza. Somehow, it resulted in more productive legislation than ever before. Even the Lumynar military adapted, though not without some confusion. Their fearsome war cruisers were retrofitted with coffee shops and yoga studios. The sight of crystalline admirals trying to master the downward-facing dog became a popular meme across 17 dimensions. Cultural exchange programs led to some interesting developments. Humans introduced the concept of casual dress to species that didn't wear clothes, leading to a galaxy-wide debate about whether wearing nothing was more or less casual than wearing something. The argument was eventually settled by declaring Everyday Hat Day because everyone could agree that hats were funny.